Hey everybody, I'm Josh, and welcome to another episode of Just Sayin. Thank you. It's going to be a good show, so let's get it started by asking the question, what is Josh drinking? And I'm 14 episodes in. Why would I switch it up? It's good old Mountain Dew. Refreshing. So let's go ahead and get into the show this week on the show. It's going to be a funny one. It's our second of the season, Throwback edition. I'm really excited about it. And I know last Throwback I said I was going to randomly pick a year. And I had 1995 chosen. And then I was scrolling through Facebook the other day. And I saw this little quiz of, I think it was called Remember When. And it was basically things that have modern counterparts now, but what they were before in my time. And so I got a 100%. That's how old I am. Some of these things you probably have never even heard of, but it's going to be fun. So we're going to take a look back at that. We're going to also take a look back at our first season, our first year. Next week on the show, however, it is our season 10 finale. So, and we're going to honor mothers, because as I was writing this show, I realized that, and I didn't do it on purpose, but I'm glad that it happened. But our season finale is the week before Mother's Day, and we normally have a Mother's Day spectacular. But I figured, you know what, I was gonna somehow do a special Mother's Day episode and post it in the middle of this break or whatever. But I'm not doing that. Because I'll be honest with you, I'm probably going to be very sad, very depressed that day. It's my first Mother's Day without my mom. And so I'm kind of glad it happened that way, but I apologize that we kind of have to end the Mother's Day spectacular. I can't remember if we're going to be back before Father's Day. The premiere might be Father's Day, which would be ironic that we're celebrating Mother's Day and Father's Day on a premiere and a finale. Anyway, I'm not sure yet. We don't have the actual break scheduled down yet. Guess we should get started. But anyway, it's going to be a good show today, regardless of what happens next week. But I do want to dedicate this episode to my mom. And mainly because, I just kind of miss her today. And I'll tell you why here in the rundown. So let's get it started. So the other night, I was having a bad night. I was having a bad day, and I was missing my mom. And my dog is the type of dog, so let me back up first. When I lived with my parents, they have a dog that I tested this one time. She would fall asleep touching you, and I moved over a little bit, and her leg would move, and she would, until she touched me. And then I'd move again, and she did it again. And so she had to be touching something or feeling you, knowing you're there while she was sleeping. And Taser does not like to be touched when she's sleeping. I will slide my foot under her, because in order for me to fall asleep sometimes, especially when I'm upset, I have to pet her or touch her or something just to help soothe me. And so the other night, I was missing my mom, and I was laying in bed watching. My mom and I had a favorite show that we watched together. It was a sitcom, and she had some episodes or seasons on DVD. So when she passed, I got them, or I should say, I took them. And so I was watching them just to kind of feel closer to her. And my dog, who, like I said, does not like to touch me or be touched while she's sleeping, she was laying at the foot of the bed, got up, came over to the head of the bed, and randomly, and I apologize I look hideous in this picture, randomly laid her head on my shoulder. How adorable is that? She never does it. I had to take a picture to memorialize it because she never does it. But how adorable is that? It's like she knew. And they always say dogs know. But I've said this before. My mom was very instrumental in me getting my dog. And so I always feel, since my mom passed, I always feel like there's part of my mom in Taser. And I've never told anyone this story except my close family. But the day my mom passed away, Taser, like I said, was laying at the foot of the bed, and she gets up and moves around all the time. And I have counted her one time, and I stopped counting at 20. But she does those, the nesting thing where they do circles. She will go around more than 20 times to the point where she gets dizzy, stops, sits down, and then gets up and does it again. Over 20 times. And so I normally feel that, but when I'm awake, I feel it. But when I fall asleep, I don't know that she moves. I'll fall asleep with her at the foot of my bed. She'll wake up at the head of my bed. I don't know when she's done this. So the day that my mom passed away, I'm laying in bed, and it was one of those sleeps where I was asleep, but I wasn't really in deep sleep because I was expecting a phone call at any minute. I even remember laying my head down that night and being like, well, no sense in trying to sleep because I'm waiting for a phone call. And so I was kind of in and out of deep sleep, knowing I was going to get a phone call soon. And all of a sudden I felt Taser get up from the head of my bed, walk to the foot of my bed, and then I didn't feel her doing anything anymore. And normally I can, when she goes to lay down, she just kind of flops. And so, especially when I'm not really sleeping, I feel her. But she didn't do that. So I was laying on my stomach, and I kind of turned my head like this. She was at the foot of my bed, staring at the wall. Just staring at the wall. 1 or 2 seconds later, my sister called and said my mom passed. And I feel that because they always say dogs or animals can sense spirits. I want to say that was my mom coming to say goodbye. So ever since then, that's why that's one of the reasons I feel like a part of my mom is inside Taser. So anyway, I want to dedicate this episode to my mom for Mother's Day. The finale next week will honor mothers, but this one is going to honor my mother specifically, not for anything specific in it. But I just want to dedicate an episode to her. And so I think once a season I'm going to do that, just so I know she's here. Speaking of my mom, I told you guys a couple of weeks ago, that I won a trophy again on Liveline. I finally got it. I was getting ready to film before we started today. I came home, had a family thing all day yesterday. Came home, started filming a little bit. Didn't check the mail. Didn't even think of checking the mail. And then I went out this morning, and I got a wild hair up my butt. I don't know where that saying came from, but I was just like, I'm going to go check the mail. So I went out to check the mail, and it was there. And it's not, there was one I said that I kind of requested because it was special to me. And that was, during this winter, they have a snowman one. And my mom loved snowmen. And I tried all Christmas season when they had them to win. I didn't win. I'll obviously keep trying until I get one. But this is the one they sent. It is the Liveline Master of Music Trophy. And there it is. So that is my new desk decoration. So excited! It's finally here! Ta-da! Thank you, Mason Kelter. I'll start listening to your show again. I'm kidding. I haven't stopped listening. Anyway, so anyone that has ever been in the service industry, what is your nightmare shift? That would be when you don't have access to your POS system. Because then you have to handwrite everything. And then you have to look up the prices. See, when I started serving when I was age 16, and I'm 40 now, like 24 years ago, we wrote tickets. And I just memorized prices because people would order the same thing. I'd just start memorizing the prices. Well, with a POS system, you don't have to memorize prices. And so both of the servers and I were like, how much is this? Do you know how much that is? I mean, it was just, it was insane. And if you can imagine a server's worst nightmare shift, that is it. And I lived through it. They're doing some construction on the road, in the street in front of our restaurant, thank God, because it was horrible. And they hit a power line. And so, yeah, we served lunch from 11 to 2, and our power went out at 11:15 and came on at 2:45. Just the lunch shift. No big deal. No big deal. Anyway, that will do it for my news. Let's get into the news with this story. A recent survey has found that most Gen Z people, which are teenagers and people in their 20s, would rather work in an office setting. Now, I can kind of see both sides of this because they grew up from home. I mean, we had COVID, they had school from home, people were working from home, people still work from home since COVID. A lot of people just don't go into the office on certain days and work from home. I mean, I can kind of understand that. They're thrown into the from home society, and I can understand how they'd be excited to go see their friends at school again, and that kind of stuff. But as far as personally me, I couldn't do it. I could not do it. There are too many distractions at my house that I wouldn't be able to get anything done. I remember when I was in college, they were just starting online classes. And so I tried an online class. I failed. I had to drop out of the class so I didn't fail because I just couldn't get into the mindset of I need to do schoolwork. I have to be in that setting. So I can kind of understand how they would want to be in the office, but it also surprises me because my sister brags all the time. Betty Sue brags all the time how she doesn't have to wake up until like 5 minutes before her day starts. She can work in her pajamas unless she's on a conference video call. Then she puts a nice top on. Sorry, I'm ruining your secrets here, Betty Sue, but no one knows who you are anyway. So yeah. That's that, I guess. Here's the next story, and this is a sad story. Jerry Springer has passed away. How is the newer generation going to know how to throw chairs? I don't know. He was a television icon. He had the first trash talk show. And that was the brand of his show. I remember when it first came on, it came on like 11 o'clock or midnight, and because no stations wanted to air it during the day because it was trash TV. Guys kissing guys, women telling their guys that they aren't their baby daddy, that the baby daddy is the brother, sister's husband's cousin's nephew, and yeah, it's crazy. And it's weird to think that he was an icon with that kind of a show. But that he is what brought that kind of a show to the forefront. And it became so popular. I remember I would pretend to go to bed and stay up late just to watch his show. And then I'd get in trouble because I'd leave the TV on and my mom would be like, what were you watching late last night? Until I learned how to set a sleep timer. Anyway, so yeah, that's sad news. 79 years old, died of pancreatic cancer peacefully from home. According to his family. So, yeah. Here's the next story, and this one, old news, but I'm going to share it anyway because I have some theories on it. Well, not theories, but I have my own thoughts on it. Aaron Rodgers has officially been traded to the Jets. He will officially wear number 8, which was his college football number, not 12, which was his Packers number, because he said, quote, 12 belongs to Joe Namath, end quote. He also is excited and, quote, motivated by this new chapter, end quote. Here's my thought. And I would say this to his face. I would say this to LeBron James's face. You are not the best. If you have to tell the world you're the best or throw a big fit because your team hasn't won a championship in 18 years that you've been on the team, maybe it's not the team. Just saying. But I'm sorry, Michael Jordan is the best basketball player ever, not LeBron James. If you have to tell people you are the best at something, you are not the best at something. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased, but I don't know. It's just, no. Goodbye, good riddance. And you're giving up on your team because you are the only person who's been solitary there for 18 years and haven't won a championship. I don't think it was the entire team. I'm pretty sure you played a role in it too. Just saying. Here's the next one. I didn't know this was still going on, but apparently Netflix has announced that they are ending their DVD services. Everybody I've told this story to, thought that they already had. Not gonna lie. But that's how it used to work. Speaking of a throwback, I'm going to tell you how Netflix used to work, for those of you who don't know. But basically what you would do is you would sign up for a subscription for getting 1 DVD at a time, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. And that's how you were charged. And basically what it would do is you would go on to Netflix and you select some movies or TV shows. And in what order you wanted to get them in or watch them in. And they would send you, let's say 3. And you would watch them, send them back. Then they'd send you 3 more. And, I mean, it was interesting how it used to work. But the problem was, let's say you're watching a TV series on DVD and there's a cliffhanger. It would be a few days before you got it. So you'd have to wait that long to get them unless you staggeredly sent them back. So that you always had a new one coming. And what was the other? I forgot to write my own thoughts down. I normally do, and the other problem with it is that if they didn't have that DVD or somebody else was already borrowing it, they'd send you the next one on your list. So you could go from disc 1, 2, 3 to 5. And then be like, what? I missed a whole bunch. And then randomly one day you get disc 4. So, I mean, yeah. That's what put Blockbuster and Hollywood Video, and this is what did it. This is what put them all out of business, because why would I want to go to the movie store and find a movie when I can just get Netflix? Anyway. And finally, in the rundown, this story kind of made me say, what the? This is Beatrice Flamini. She is an experienced mountaineer. She is a great athlete. And she decided to put herself in solitary confinement. Literally. She went for 500 days. She was underground 230 feet. And just chilling. 230 feet underground for 500 days. Every few days, someone would bring her a new ration of food. Every few days, someone would come and clean her waste or empty her waste. They never saw each other. It just was kind of done anonymously. But yeah, I could not do it. That would freak me out. The total darkness. I mean, she apparently had light, candles, and stuff like that. But I can't stand complete silence. That would bother the crap out of me. Let alone 230 feet underground. For 500 days! That's over a year. Can you imagine doing that? I didn't think you felt so aggressively about it when I accidentally hit that button. Anyway. Well, I talked about road construction a while back. And something happened the other day at work. I witnessed something the other day at work, and I thought, you know what, I need to get it off my chest, so it's time for me to tell you what really gets my goat. Keep in mind, and I can speak about this because I lived this in environment, I guess. Most states have what is called the Scots Law, and basically what it is if there's an emergency vehicle, a cop pulled over a car, a broken down car, construction, you kind of slow down and get out of their way, more or less. And as I said at the beginning of the show, they're doing construction on the street in front of my restaurant, in front of my work, and I was standing there and I was just looking out the window watching them, because some of them are hot, and this car, literally, the speed limit down the street is 30 miles an hour, 30. There's construction, which means you have to go slower than that. They were going faster than 30 miles an hour past these construction workers. And one of the construction workers, I didn't hear what was said, but one of the construction workers turned his head and yelled at the car. Well, then all of a sudden the car slammed on the brakes Luckily, there was no one behind him. They slammed on their brakes. The passenger got halfway out their car yelling back. I know the driver's side door opened, but I couldn't see them because, well, the car was in the way. And they were yelling back and forth. Seriously, slow the hell down in a construction zone, people. How would you like someone driving in your workspace or through your house where you're just minding your own business for going 55 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour? When I was a paramedic, it was the worst fear of mine. To be honest, granted, we had police that blocked roads and stuff like that, but at first, when you first get on scene, that isn't the case. And there have been several times I've been almost hit by a car when I was at work, when I was on the scene, just because people are stupid and they're more concerned about what's going on than they are about what's around them. We used to call it rubberneck syndrome because their necks were like rubber and would just go all the way around while they were driving, trying to see what was going on. You've got to be careful. I mean, they could have hit that worker. I'm glad the worker said something because they don't have to stand for that. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so that is what really gets my goat. So let's go ahead and get the throwback started. So as I said earlier, I was going to do 1995 this year, but I saw a quiz that had some old products in it, and I thought, you know what, we're going to experience those today. So it's time for a segment that I like to call Back in My Day. That's right. These are items that have modern day counterparts. And this is what they used to look like before the modern day counterparts. Now this thing, it's a lot bigger than it looks in the picture, obviously. But it's called a rug beater. And basically what you did with it was you would take your rugs out and outside, put them on your clothesline, a rope, a tree branch, over the railing, whatever. And you would literally just stand there with this metal rod and beat the crap out of the rug. And that's how you cleaned them. Nowadays we have vacuum cleaners. But that's how they cleaned rugs back in the day. Here's the next one. Now, believe it or not, Starbucks wasn't always around. And people actually had to buy and grind their own coffee. Well, this is a coffee grinder. Nowadays, they're all electronic. You just push a button and grind the coffee. No, this is what it used to look like. You had to crank it yourself. It was called elbow grease. Here's the next one, and I'm going to teach you a little life lesson here. This is called a washboard. And basically what it was, before washing machines were invented, you would take this board, and you would put it in a big tub, and you'd take your clothes, and you'd run your clothes up and down this washboard. And that's how you cleaned your clothes back in the day. And it's also where the term washboard abs came from. For those of you who always have wondered, that's where it came from. Anyway, in case you're weird like me and like random information. Here is the next one. Now, this one has kind of a little funny story to it. Jump drives, flash drives, whatever you decide to call them. People from my generation started calling them floppy disks. And my nephews always wondered why. This is why. Because the original computer disks were 5 inches by 5 inches, and they were floppy. That's where the term floppy disk came from. And then they came out with the 3-inch ones, which we still call floppy disks. And my dad still calls flash drives floppy disks, because that's just what they were back in my day. Here's the next one. Now this, I'm pretty sure a lot of people know. I'm not sure if schools still have them or not, because of mechanical pencils and stuff like that, which were not big and popular. They were just coming out when I was in school. You were cool if you had a mechanical pencil. But this is a pencil sharpener. I remember every day before school started, or before class started, there would be a line of students at the pencil sharpener sharpening their pencils for the day. 2, 3, whatever. They would be sharpening their pencils for the day. And all of a sudden, like, you'd be in the middle of taking a test, and all of a sudden you hear, and then the person would go back to their desk. It was not the most quiet thing. Now, I am not a big fire person because it gives me migraines. The fire smoke gives me migraines, so I'm not big on like fireplaces or campfires or whatever. But this is what the old bellows used to look like. I'm not quite sure how it worked compared to the new ones. The new ones you just like open and close. I'm not quite sure the difference because, well, I don't mess with them, but that was what the old bellows used to look like. Here's the next one. Now, if you thought modern day technology was a refrigerator, this was modern day technology back in the day. Before, probably around my mom's generation. This was an ice box. It was not a refrigerator. You could not control the temperature. It was just an ice box. There was one temperature and it was frozen. I remember growing up, my grandmother never threw anything away. In fact, when she passed away and we were going through her stuff, we found 9, count them, 9 sewing machines. One of them worked. She just never threw them away because you could use a part from the other one for this one, and she just never threw anything away. They still had a refrigerator that was one big door with an ice compartment. Not a freezer, just an ice compartment. That was maybe that big. Maybe. That's just what they had back in the day. Now, this next picture will truly show you how much we did not care about safety. This is what the toasters used to look like. One piece of bread at a time. You'd put it in those little slots you'd put it on the stove or over a fire or whatnot, and that's how you cooked your toast. It was when I was a kid that came out with 2-slot toasters, and you were cool if you had a 2-slot toaster. Here is the original printers. Notice the edges with the holes. You would have to line the holes up with little tracks that would feed the paper through. And if one got off, it ruined your entire print job. And all of the paper was perforated. So once it got done printing, you had to tear them all apart and then put them back in order. And yeah. And when it printed, it went. It's called a dot matrix printer. It made little dots. Check them out. It was so annoying. I remember my parents would get so mad when the kids would play with it, like playing Office or something, and we'd get the paper off the track. And finally, this was the original computer. This was a keyboard. That whole thing is a keyboard chair. But basically, you would put your paper in this thing, and there's a ribbon of ink. And when you strike the key, it sent a bar coming forward, and it would strike the ribbon, and the ribbon would imprint the letter that you chose. It was fun. And if you messed up, there wasn't really whiteout or anything like that. You would just start all over. Kind of like I do with this show. Anyway, so moving right along now, I was going to put this segment into my new funny photos. But then after I thought about it, I was like, you know what? When I started this show, this was the original reason I started doing What's Wrong Here. And so pretend like the What's Wrong Here intro is going instead of funny family photos.
Drop it.
Now, back in the day, we had to actually write notes to each other. Handwritten notes. Or put up handwritten signs. We just couldn't go and have a sign already made for us. No. So, these are some handwritten or written signs by people or businesses that are just hilarious and awkward. Here's the first one, and I don't think they meant to put a check mark on the paper. They just wanted to make sure that you check to make sure that you flush the toilet. Is this a problem that people don't flush a toilet? If it is, remind me not to go wherever that sign is. If you see that sign in a bathroom, make sure you just turn around and walk away. Here's the next one. My horse Tic Tac peed on your car. Here is $50 for cleaning. Here's the next one. The parking spot you are occupying is reserved for me. I have photographed your license plate, but have not called for a tow truck this time. Next time, I will Vaseline your windshield wiper blades and your door handles, and then call for a tow truck. Sounds fair. Enjoy your close call tonight. Someone likes their parking spot. Here's the next one. This person got a little creative. It says, effective immediately to new manager or of Gringos. I'm a quitter. That's pretty clever. Here's the next one. This is a kind of a run off of Office Space. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie. I think it was the stupidest movie ever made. But a lot of people love it. Here's the next one. Doug. Yeah, I'm going to have to put in my 2 weeks notice. If you can go ahead and make my last day here March 8th, that would be great. The only thing I thought was funny in that movie was the secretary. And Opal at work makes fun of me all the time because I answer the phone. Thank you for calling blah, blah, blah. This is Josh. And she's like, it's almost like you're that lady on Office Space where she's like, just a moment. Watch it. It's funnier. Here's the next one. Dear 812 residents, I regret to inform you that I took your doorknob. I was tripping balls and thought it was a muffin. How hard do you have to be tripping to think that a doorknob is a muffin? Just saying. Here's the next one. Hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but quit blocking my driveway, asshat. I think asshat should be the cuss word of the year. Because you're in an argument with somebody and you're like, you asshole. And all of a sudden you're like, you asshat. And what are you guys going to do but laugh because it's just so awkward? Should be the cuss word of the year. I love it. I'm going to start saying asshat. Producer man is an asshat. My dog can act like an asshat. Here's the next one. No, I did not watch Game of Thrones. Please do not discuss it around my desk. Thanks. That's the thing about popular TV shows. Especially streaming TV shows nowadays. Because I hear two people talking about a show. I think it sounds interesting by what they're saying, but I already know what's going to happen by what they're saying. So, anyway, this next one took me a minute. Because I'm sitting here and I'm like, damn, that's a really skinny car. Between that or just really wide parking spots. But then I realized underneath the car is the actual line separating two parking spots. So the person chalked their car and said, parking spot just for you. And the way people park these days, we have a guy at work, and I'm not going to mention his name. I don't get along with him anyway. We'll call him Lou. No, we won't. We'll call him Ding Dong. Ding Dong likes to park his passenger side right up against your driver's side. So you can't get in your car when you go to leave. And his thing is, well, I'm between the lines. Yeah, but I can't get in my car, ding dong. You ding dong. And finally, hello, traffic warden. I want to play a little game. Well, with it being a throwback episode, Producer Man's wife and I, without him knowing, tried to find a picture of us. I'm sorry, everybody. Please remain calm, but I think I smell smoke, which can only mean one of two things. Either I'm thinking too hard again, which we all know doesn't happen, or It's time for a flashback, a throwback to year number 1 with Yeah Burnt. That's right, everybody. We are throwing back to season 1 of the show when I had no other content, but I had to do some Seth Meyers You Burnts. So here we go. Hold on tight. Lots of topics to sizzle through and not a lot of time. First up, ice skating. How about this for a first date? Let's go to the ice rink, hold hands, and break our asses. Oh, you've never skated before? Don't worry, it's awesome for newbies. The ground is as hard as a rock, they strap knives to your feet, and don't worry about learning how to stop. You can always throw your body against a really hard wall. There are only 2 types of skaters, those that are amazing and those that suck. No one cares about those in between. Hell is filled with okay skaters. Ice skating. Better grab more ice cuz you burn. Magic 8 balls. What's up with their vague responses? Outlook cloudy. Try again later. If I wanted non-answers to my serious questions, I would have attended a Sean Spicer press briefing. Sideburn Sean Spicer. I just read that. Hey, Magic 8 balls, next time I want to know the future, I'll bend over and ask my own balls, because let's be real, they're more fun to shake. Magic 8 balls, are you burnt? Signs point to yes. Chocolate samplers. Ah, the perfect gift that says, hey, I got a free box of chocolates today with my car wash. If you're married and in love with someone, shouldn't you know what their favorite kind of candy is? Instead, you have them looking at a map like they're they're looking at instructions to put an IKEA cabinet together. Like Mama, hey, chocolate samplers, like Mama always said, you burn. Mr. Clean. While all the Super Bowl commercials were about immigration, you were like, hey, wanna fuck? It's YouTube, I can say whatever I want. Hey, you wanna have sex? I've mopped my floor several times before, and not once was I horny. And look, lady, just between me and you, I don't want to hurt your feelings here, but he's a really in-fit man, in-shape guy with a bald head, 1 earring, and likes to clean. I don't think he bats for your team. Might want to think it. Mr. Clean, the only reason you're hot is because you're burnt. Quinoa! Could you be spelled any harder? The only reason I'm ever happy to see you is when you're on my Scrabble tile. You're not fooling anyone. Everyone knows you're just brown rice that studied abroad for a semester. Also, where is your taste? If I have to add an entire bottle of flavoring to something to make it edible, it's not good. Hey, quinoa! What are you still doing here? You burnt. The Beatles! Paul McCartney recently said in an interview that he and John Lennon masturbated together when they were younger. I guess happiness is a warm gun. From now on, the answer to the question, do you want to know a secret, is no. If I wanted to watch a band jerk off together, I'd go to a Fish concert. Sideburn Fish. Beatles, you better grab yourselves a hand, cuz you burn. High school math. You get less use than deodorant at Burning Man. You know how I know that trigonometry is useless? Because the last time I even said or heard the word trigonometry was when I said, thank God it's the last day of trigonometry. Did Pythagoras have any theories as to when I'd use this? Because a squared plus b squared equals c squared doesn't help me when I'm riding the D train to buy some E so I can get F'd in the G. And don't ask me what the H to the G is, because it must be a straight thing. I don't know. High school math, pencils down, you burn. Pirates! If you've got an eye patch, a peg leg, and a hook for a hand, I don't think you should be the captain of a ship. I think you're pretty damn accident prone. Also, you can't be menacing with a pirate on your shoulder. Arr, give me all your gold and some melon for me, cockatoo. Pirates, walk the plank, you burnt. Post-credit movie scenes. Let me get this straight. I sat here for 2.5 hours. I really have to pee, but I can't get up yet because I have to wait to see if maybe Thor pops up and gives us another wink to the camera. Seriously, if you were that good, you would have been in the movie. Why in the hell do I care that the sound technician has a weird nickname like Jonathan Jelly Donut Prescott? Not that there's one here that works here that has that nickname. Post-movie credit scenes, you burnt. People who clap when the plane lands. What are you so excited about? Landing safely was not a big plot twist. How about having more composure than a 1-year-old who saw keys jingling for the first time? There are only 2 times when you should clap on an airplane. When Sully successfully lands on the Hudson, or when 2 people that clearly just joined the Mile High Club exit the bathroom. Also, can we check with everyone to make sure they're happy to be reaching this destination? The lady next to me was just telling me how she's coming here to pull the plug on Nana. People who clap when the plane lands, clap at this, you burnt. Oh, no! That sound means... There we go, sorry. That sound means not only are we out of time for the segment, but for the show. What a day. It's just been... It was going great. It's going great. Anyway. If you think there's something funny I should see and share on the show, be sure to send it to me. There's the show email address, as well as my TikTok while it's not banned in the US, and my Twitter account, which I'm becoming more active on. Also, please like, comment below, subscribe, and get the notifications anytime I post one of my episodes. I hope you enjoyed this one, Mama. It was for you. Be sure to join me next week when it's our Season 10 finale. I'm really excited about it. I'm more excited about the month and a half I'm going to have off. Anyway. And please, everybody, stay safe, stay healthy, stop the hate. And until next week, that's all I'm saying.